Okay, thanks you guys so much for joining us tonight for our team call. Man, it's December 3rd, which is kind of crazy. I feel like it should be November 3rd right now, but November just like flew by like that. And we're already in December, the last month of the decade, which is kind of crazy and crazy exciting. So I'm really going to kind of just jump right into it. You guys have been fully immersed in the launch of Bar Blend, fully immersed in the launch of the vegan beach bars, like lots of stuff going on today. And I feel like this is going to be really refreshing and really exciting. And I'm really, really excited for you guys to meet Jen. I actually just met her a few weeks ago when I attended a seminar that my sister-in-law had invited me to. And she's a realtor. And I laughed with Jen about this because when she first started talking at the event, at the seminar, she was talking about this couple. She'd held one of these seminars before. And this couple that was sitting there, and they were realtors, and they were expecting it to be this event about realty. And it wasn't at all. Like it's about life, and it's about loving your life, and it's about dreaming and all that stuff. Anyway, setting your goals. And she could tell they were perturbed. And so she was like, I'm just going to let everyone here know this isn't about realty. And it kind of was comforting for me because I think I was Cozy was there with me. But I think we were the only ones in the room that weren't realtors. Maybe there was another person. I'm not sure. Maybe her kids. Her kids were probably the only other ones. Yeah. So, but it was an incredible, incredible experience. And I've since started working with Jen. She is a life coach and she's a mom of 4. She is an incredible human being. And I really have learned a lot about myself. And through that journey, and, we've only met a few times. We just started working together, but I feel like I have really grown so much in the past few weeks. And so I asked her if she'd be willing to speak to our team and to just, share with you guys a little bit about what I've been doing and what she does. And I don't know, just like bless you guys with some of her wisdom. And she agreed so gracefully to come and join us on a Tuesday night, which I know you guys know, and during December is even crazier. So Jen, thank you so much. And you're welcome to add anything to that introduction. Maybe talk a little bit about your background and everything, and you can kind of just jump right into it.
Okay, awesome. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me, Melissa? Okay, good. So look at all these beautiful women. I love this so much. This is awesome. So yes, I do work with a lot of agents. I don't know why. Agents are progressive and they like to work on their personal growth. And so a lot of them have gravitated to me. There were actually a good handful of people at the seminar that were not agents. And I'm wanting to get even more of a mix with the people that follow me because this stuff is for honestly every human being on the planet. If you're a human, then the stuff that I love to shout from the rooftops, it applies to you. So it doesn't matter if you're male, female, young, old. I work with all different kinds of people, business owners, people that are stay-at-home moms. It doesn't matter. And so a little bit about me is I never, ever planned consciously to become a life coach. I didn't even know what that was. And I had just had a heck of a journey, just like most people, where I had trauma as a child. I had a lot of heartbreak and self-worth stuff going on, and it was showing up in my life. So a little bit about me is I'm the youngest of 9 children, and I had some crazy chaotic things in my childhood. And then I ended up getting married young. And when I was pregnant with my second child, my marriage fell apart. My husband basically said, you know what? I don't really want to be married. I want to go out. I want to date other women. I want to, have have fun with my friends. And here I am 7 months pregnant with a 2-year-old, and I'm going, my life is falling apart. What do I do? And so I basically got divorced from him and was single for 6 years, and my life was nuts. It was bananas. I was trying to like figure out my life. I was working as a waitress and going to school, and I just didn't know up from down. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I believed. I had the floodgates opened up on drama coming in my life, and it was just really, really a hard time in my life. Then I met my husband, who I am married to now, and I just adored him, and I knew how I felt about him. We got married and we started our life together, yet things were so hard because we were a blended family. He was a father overnight, and we just kept fighting and coming back to the same issues over and over and over again. And I have been into personal growth since I was 20 years old. I've been reading books about dynamics of families, of parenting, of mindset. I've always gravitated to it and loved it. And so I had read so many books, but I had all this information up here and I didn't know how to actually apply it to my life. And so many people that I end up working with, they've been to Tony Robbins, they've been, they've read so many books, and they don't know how to take this information and actually apply it to their life so their life gets rocking and rolling. And so that's where I was at. I was in this place where my husband, when we get in fights, he'd be like, you think because you've read all these books, your life has changed or you've changed. He'd say, you haven't changed. And it'd make me so mad when he would say that, because I'd be like, yes, I have. I've changed so much. And he'd be like, no, you haven't. We're still having the same fights. And he, at the end of the day, was right. And I knew he was right. And that was so frustrating to me because I wanted my life to change. I wanted to heal from the past. I wanted to really remember who I am and feel worthy. But I had so many walls up and I couldn't get past it, and I didn't know how. So one day, this was 7 years ago, my husband and I, we had been together we just celebrated 14 years together. So we'd been together for 7 years, and we had 2 children together, and I had 2 from my first. And so we had a family of 4, and we got to a place in our marriage where it was really scary and things were going really, really, they were just in a really hard space. We were talking about divorce. And we had gotten in one of the biggest fights that I can remember us ever getting in. And we yelled a bunch of stuff to each other and ran off to other sides of the house. And I remember sitting there and like looking at my life and thinking, seriously, Jen, you know all this stuff about mindset, about power to create. You've been studying for so many years, and this is what you're creating. What are you doing? You can do better than this. And so at that moment, I literally got out a piece of paper and a pen, and I rewrote my story. And it sounds really simple, but I literally wrote my life as I wanted it to be. I wrote, I'm in a beautiful marriage with a husband that honors me, and we're so in love. We have laughter and joy in our home. And I just wrote like all these amazing things I wanted in my life as if it were that way then, right now. And I folded up this paper and put it in my purse. And my husband and I would fight, and I would pull out the paper and I would read it. And my husband and I would fight, and I would pull it out and I would read it day after day after day. And soon my life started to shift and change, and my relationship with him started to get better and better and better. And things started to really change with us. Well, I was lit up. I was so excited because I had been trying to figure this out for so many years. And by me rewriting my story, and there's a whole lot more to it, but the gist of it is I was actually figuring out that I'm a powerful creator. So today when Melissa, when her and I were talking, I said, what do you want me to talk on? And she said, you can talk about whatever you want. And I said, oh my gosh, I always know exactly what I'm going to go to when someone says that, because I will always talk about our power to create, because to me, that is the thing that I will shout from the rooftops until the day I leave the planet, because I know how much it applies to everybody's life and how you can really do anything you want in life. And that might sound like a big, huge, like, yeah, right, whatever, but it's true. And I cracked the code to go from how to, get this information in my mind to take it into my heart and apply it to my life, to where all areas of my life can change. And so now 7 years later, I can say that literally every single area of my life has changed. But it started with my marriage, and it started with me really, really taking this stuff that I had learned for so many years and putting it into practice once and for all. So I got really committed because I was so excited that I now started applying it to my job. And so I would get up every single morning at 5:30 a.m. before anyone in my house woke up, because I didn't want them to see what I was doing, because I felt like they would think I was nuts. And I literally would visualize, I would close my eyes, I would do all these different things, to where that was my time where I would really focus on my power to create and what I was putting out there, right? Well, so at the time I was a part-time sales rep. And so I got to a point where I wanted to, now that my relationship and the biggest part of my life that was causing me pain, now that was flowing and at a better space, now I was getting to something more fun. And I was like, okay, I want some more money to come in. And so I started focusing on manifesting more money. And I literally went from $35,000 working as a part-time sales rep, just working a cushy whatever hours I wanted, to $75,000 within 30 days. Now, how did I do that? Well, I did that I started to say, I am doubling my income. I am doubling my income. And I started focusing on that and putting that out there. And I was approached by another company that came to me and said, hey, we want to hire you. And we went through the whole process of me getting hired. And the guy that was mentoring me, he said, Jen, if he worked for that company, he said, hey, if you want 60 grand, ask for 75 to go to this other company. And so I didn't expect them to give me 75 grand, but I made that offer. I counter offered with them and they took it. And so I literally doubled my money within 30 days. So after that experience, I was so lit up that I was like, this stuff is crazy. I know it can work in a relationship. I know it can work in your finances. I will not be quiet about this until I leave the planet. And so I started teaching people, and the people in my life that had watched me, they had seen me shift and change over the years, from those years that I was such a mess to where now I started to look like I had more confidence. I started to be happier. I started to look just better all around. And they started coming to me and asking me questions. And so I started teaching my friends and my family all of this information, and they started seeing results in their life. And so eventually, 5 years ago, I realized I'm not here on the planet to be doing what I was doing at the time. And I needed to step into this space and start teaching others officially so that I could actually spend time with my kids at night instead of have people coming over to my house. Because my husband was like, holy cow, this is like a revolving door of people coming in our house wanting to know this information from you. What is going on? And so I made it official, and I started my business in the beginning of 2016. And I haven't looked back. It's been such an amazing journey, and I've done many seminars and retreats, and I have a very robust life coaching business, and I now just recently am about to launch another program, which is a coaching membership. And what I'm going to be teaching is all of this kind of stuff. And when people ask me, hey, Jen, what area, what is it that you teach? Are you a relationship coach? Are you a business coach? Are you a finance coach? And my answer to that question is I'm a life coach, because literally I want you to think of my coaching as, think of it as like a tree, right? You've got a tree trunk, and if a tree is hit by lightning and it cracks in half, it's only a matter of time before the branches are going to be affected by that, before all the branches are going to start to die, right? So what I do is I treat the trunk, and all the branches of our life are affected by that. So one branch can be your marriage. Another branch can be your social circle. Another branch is your finances, your health, your success, your business, your self-esteem. And literally when we treat the trunk of the tree, and that person is standing in their power, and they know how to create, and they understand that they are a powerful creator, creating every second, every minute of every day, then you can literally make every branch of your life flourish. So there's literally, I like to keep it really simple, because I think that people make it more complex, and that's why I think I was stuck, is because I'm reading these big old long books, and I'm going to these seminars, and there's all this information coming at you, and the brain can only retain about 10% of the information coming at it. And so it was just too complicated. And so I keep it really, really simple. And literally, here's how it goes. Okay, it's going to sound so simple. You're going to be like, is that really it? So number one is you uncover your story of what is showing up in your life. So whatever's showing up is your story. So for example, with me, with my marriage, I went from my first marriage to relationships in between. All those years I was single, and I would date random people that were not honoring me, to now I'm married again, and I'm on my second marriage, and I still have the same story that's going, right? So that's why I kept having those same fights and those same problems coming up. Well, you uncover that story, and essentially my story, which is an awful crappy story, but it was, you're not worthy. You're not worthy to have someone that loves you and shows up for you even when you're not looking. You're not worthy to have somebody that you trust that has your best interest even when you're not looking. And so for me, I had massive trust issues, and I couldn't even see who my husband was because of all my walls that I had built up to try to protect myself based on all of my past trauma. So I uncovered my story. And the second step is, what do you want instead? So for me, I have that story, I'm not worthy. Well, do I like that story? Of course not. It's wreaking havoc on my life. And so the second step is, what do you want instead? The third step is you eat, breathe, sleep that new story until it takes root and your life starts to change. So it sounds super simple. It is the hardest and most complex thing on the planet, and in life, and what I believe is the most important thing for any human being to learn is how we're creating and how to create a life that honors us instead of a life that doesn't honor us. And we have stories in all areas of our life. And so it sounds really simple to go, oh, just uncover your story, figure out what you want, and tell the new story. But it definitely takes a lot of dedication and commitment because our stories are so deep rooted. And our life is made up of our stories. So here's how the power to create works. The first thought is you hear your life is made up of your thoughts, or you hear about the law of attraction. Can you guys raise your hand if you know about the law of attraction or manifesting? Okay, cool, love it. So what about, do you know how it works and how to create everything you want in life using it? If anyone does know that, raise your hand. Okay, I see a couple of these. So do you see that a lot of people have heard about it, but not a lot of people have really understood how it works? Well, so here's how it works. Your thoughts are the seed. Okay, so a lot of people will go, yeah, right, that's a bunch of crap. If your life is really made up of your thoughts, then that means I could go, hey, I'm a millionaire, and then poof, there'd be $1 million. Well, no, that's not how it works. And it's a good thing that's not how it works, because there is a lag time. I have some crazy thoughts sometimes. I could be driving down the street in a snowstorm and think, oh my gosh. In fact, last week I was driving in that crazy snowstorm, and you can have this thought of like, what if I run off the road and crash my car? And it's not automatic to where it's going to happen. And that's a good thing that it works that way for us. So it's divinely created for us, that there is a lag time, and you do have to nurture that thought enough to be able to bring it into fruition. So the first seed is the thought. Then your thought turns into visualization. You start to visualize your life a certain way. Then you start to speak a certain way about your life. And then you start to feel a certain way about your life. Then it goes to belief. Okay. And that's where beliefs are where it's at. That is where it will show up and bloom into physical form. And so it is a process. It's like, you can't throw some tomato seeds in some soil and then the next day go, where's the tomatoes? This doesn't work. This is silly. No, you would understand that it's going to take some time. It's going to take nurturing, sunlight, water, and some TLC to get that plant to bloom. It's the same way with our life and our thoughts, and culminating them enough to where they go through that process to where they come down to where now they're a belief. And that's what your life is made up of, is your thoughts and your beliefs. Yeah. So what I did was I wanted to create something that I could support people on their journey and really teach this kind of stuff in different ways. So what happens is we can hear something many times, and maybe on the 40th time it will click, or the 50th time it will click. And so this really works in layers. So Melissa was talking about how she just started, we just started our journey together, and that she's already seen change. I hear that a lot, because really we are so powerful that if we can learn to get out of our own way, things can shift really, really fast. But it's just learning how to get out of our own way, right? And so that's what I do, is I help people pull back the layers and step by step by step We start to work with our power to create until you turn around and you're like, holy cow, my life has changed so much. Let's see. So with this, I would like to answer some questions because I know I've got a lot of questions here. Should I just like open it up, Melissa, for questions?
Yeah, I think you could definitely answer questions, or people could ask you more about these things. And I just have to say, like, this was probably the one thing at the seminar that like hit me the hardest. When that girl stood up and you guys were talking about the very first time you met her and she was telling you about her story. Do you remember that?
Remind me.
Okay, so she met you at one of your other events, and she was walking out of the bathroom and you were like, hey, you guys were just kind of introducing yourselves. And you're like, tell me a little bit about you. And she was just talking about her life and how she'd recently been divorced, and she was just needing to accept that was going to be her life from now on. And you like stopped her right then and said, like, probably the most powerful thing I think I've ever heard. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. And I loved it so much. And that was like the moment where I was like, I need to change my life because I'm allowing for life to control me rather than controlling and creating the life that I want. And you said to her, you're a beautiful goddess and you can create whatever you want in this life.
Yep.
And I loved that so much. Like, that hit me in such a powerful way because at that time I was like, I'm not living up to that right now, but I want to,
Yeah. So I know exactly who you're talking about. And that person that you're talking about, she was at my first, or not my first, but she was at a seminar that I did in March. Okay. She was there in March and she came back in November. So we were, I don't know what's the difference there, 8 months later. And it's funny because one of my other clients who had actually gone to lunch with this lady at the first one, because I like to tell people, like, go mix and mingle and get to know other like-minded people. And so they had gone to lunch, and my client, who's a dear friend of mine, she was at this event with me again. And when she saw that woman stand up, she was like, oh my gosh, that's the lady I went to lunch with. And I didn't even recognize her because she looks so, so different because she's happy. She's remembered who she is. She's glowing. She's standing in her power. She's radiant. She's beautiful. She's always been beautiful, except she didn't know she was beautiful. And so she wasn't holding that space around her. And that's, at the end of the day, what lights my soul on fire. When I see someone and I see, oh my gosh, they just woke up. Like, literally, I can see them one week, and 2 times this happened today in my life today, because I've been working with people, with these 2 clients that this happened today. And it was like, oh my gosh, you just woke up last week. Something happened between last week and this week, and here it is. And you're glorious and you're glowing and you've remembered who you are. And at the end of the day, I call myself a life coach, but what I do is I remind people the truth of who they are. That's what I do. And so if you knew exactly who you were, you would have everything you want. Isn't that crazy? Everything, because you would understand how powerful and beautiful and amazing and fantastic and magical you are, and that you could apply this to any area of your life, and that you could have anything you want. And that's my message for everyone. And so that woman you're talking about, what happened in between those 8 months, because we went on a journey together. She started coaching, and she's now a very dear friend of mine too. All of my clients I fall in love with. I tell everybody that. And so because I get to see behind closed doors, and I get to see them in their vulnerable spaces, and I get to see who they really are. And she ended up, she'd been single for a while because she was in a very painful marriage before. And so over the last 8 months, she has actually gotten in another relationship. She's in this beautiful relationship now, and her mate was with her at this event, and he was sitting right next to her, and he was bawling like a baby, which I love to see men cry. It makes me really happy. But it was just really cool to see the difference in her life. And I honestly see it really, really quickly with people, because I mean, I'm saying literally like 2 weeks quick, where people can shift so crazy fast if they just learn how to get out of their own way. And another really great story is there was a girl there, and Melissa, you might remember her. She was a young girl who stood up, and she commented, and she's 15 years old, and she had been really, really suffering the last year with a lot of depression. She'd been, self-harming, and she was having a really, really tough time. She'd been to therapy, and her mom ended up bringing her to this event. And I met with her today. It was the first time I've seen her since the event. And she was glowing and happy and radiant. And she said, I cannot believe I haven't felt like something happened that day. And I have felt different since that event, which was November 14th. And I'm not surprised, because literally I tell people, when you walk out that door at 5:00 tonight, expect to be changed forever, because what we're doing is we're turning on the lights, and we're reminding you who you really are. And so we're really delving into to your power to create. And so literally in one day, her life changed. And it's been 1 month, and she's like, I don't know what happened that day, but I'm scared that I'm going to go back to how I was. But it's been a month now, and I feel great. And so I told her, you don't need to be afraid anymore that you're going to go back to that, because once you awaken, you can't go back. It's like a baby learning how to walk. Once they learn to walk, they know how to walk here on planet Earth. Once you learn how to talk, you know how to talk. Once you learn how to eat, you know how to eat now. So it's like that, to where it's like, once you awaken to your power to create, you remember who you are, you don't have to worry about going back to how you were. It's evolution. And so you're evolving as a human, and you're remembering how powerful you are and how to create whatever you want. So, okay, I said I'd get to questions. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Talking about this stuff makes me excited. So, do I have, let's see. I don't know how I should do this. And Melissa, you also saw that I am like technology challenged. That's why I have a whole team to do all of this stuff for me.
I did see that. That was funny.
So,
okay, well, I can help. Does anyone have a question that you want to ask? And I think it'd be cool if you just unmuted.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. I love that. Okay.
So if anyone has a question, you can either unmute yourself or write in the chat, and I can unmute you too. I actually have a question. I think I wanted to ask you this at the event.
Okay.
And I think I know the answer now, but I'm sure someone is thinking this. I remember thinking, like, if our life has been the way it's been, and we've been through the things we've been through, like, is there ever a situation that I don't know how to word this, but that you can't change where you're at now? Does that make sense?
So is there ever anything that's too hard to change?
Yeah.
No. Okay. with that. So when I say you can do anything you want, Okay. So a lot of teachers that teach about co-creating and manifesting and law of attraction, they'll say you can't create for someone else. Yes and no. Okay. So for example, the hardest thing I could think of that would, to answer your question, Melissa, is the hardest thing I can think of is like, if someone I love is in pain, how could I change that? Like my child, right? Like, let's say my child is in a really, really bad space. How could I change that? Okay. So there's different ways to look at this. So does it mean that you have all control? No, you don't. Okay. And some things are predetermined before we ever even come to the planet. And we have to just accept that because it's a journey, and some things are very painful. I fully believe that my first marriage and all of that happened was predetermined. I believe that my ex-husband showed up to teach me some powerful lessons, and I thank him. I thank him so much for that. And I'm not angry with him anymore. I was for many years, and I didn't understand that. But now I thank him because what he did and the part he played in my life, it cracked me open to where I could actually wake up. And now I'm married to the love of my life. And so I'm grateful for that. But so to answer your question, some things are not meant to change. They're predetermined and they're part of our lessons in life. But can we change the way that it's affecting us? Yes, absolutely. So, for example, and I don't remember if we talked about this, Melissa, or not, but with my 19-year-old son, okay, he lives out on his own with a bunch of buddies. He's in that space where I had a tight rein on him for 18 years. As soon as he graduated, he was like, I'm out of here, lady. You're not going to tell me what to do anymore. So he moved literally within 2 weeks of him graduating. And honestly, I had like some moments there where I would have some sleepless nights and I would worry about him and I would think, is he okay? Is he making good decisions? And I realized that the more I fed that, went down that road, the more I was holding that space for him to fail, for him to stumble, for him to make those decisions. And so I started to go, okay, Jen, get a grip. Like, let's visualize him with supportive friends around him. Let's visualize him calling you and saying, hey, Mom, I want to go to college. Mom, I want to progress. I want to grow. What should I do? And asking for my advice. Okay. Does this mean it's going to happen? No, not necessarily. But my son, who's 19, never, ever said he wanted to go to college. Not one time. And I don't think everybody needs to go to college. That's fine if he didn't want to go to college. But I started to shift and visualize that. And he literally called me and said, hey, Mom, I want to sign up for college. I'm working at this pizza shop. I don't feel like I'm progressing. Can you help me? And I fully believe that by me visualizing that, that's the experience I wanted to have. I wanted to have him call me and want my advice and ask for progression and growth and come to me. And so that's what was called in. So now he's doing the electrical engineering at Slick, and it's awesome. It makes me happy, So does that answer your question, Melissa? Like, can you give me an example of something that you feel like would be really hard to change?
No, yeah, I think that's kind of really what I was thinking of. I just remember I was sitting there and thinking, like, there are just a lot of things that have happened to me that haven't been like anything I chose to happen to me. And same with you. Like, I remember listening to your story and hearing about your childhood and thinking, like, that's crazy because that's not your choice and that's not something that you could prevent, really. But it was, now I realize it's how we choose to react or respond or to learn. And that's something I've learned from you is like, to use a lot of the things that happen to us as a learning experience and not as something that we hold on to.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So for me, I had like, I share some of that stuff at the event, but I had, with me being the youngest of 9, I was kind of like a rat-a-tat kid out there, with not a lot of supervision. I saw a lot of things I shouldn't have seen at a very young age. And so it's made me a different mom. It's made me a very assertive mom. I feel like, I have certain, like, I'm on my toes. And if for me, I could receive those things as a gift so that I could be an assertive mom, then it's a win, you know? And so, I also believe that even very, very painful experiences are what, I don't know if people are familiar with soul contracts, but there's soul agreements, there's soul contracts with, if you think of life as a classroom, there were certain things we wanted to learn here, and we had to have people that would play the role of the teacher. And so sometimes that's a very painful role, but the gifts that we can receive from those painful experiences are priceless for our soul to progress and learn and grow. And so, um, yeah, I mean, some of those things that were really hard, I believe that I wanted to experience those things so that I could learn and progress and grow.
Yeah. I love that. There's a couple of questions. Some of them want to know when and where your next seminar is.
Okay. So, my project that, my next baby, okay, this is my baby. I'm so excited about it. I'll tell you about that, and then I'll get to the seminar. So, I do one-on-one coaching, and my one-on-one coaching is bursting. I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep up with all the people that need healing and that want to wake up and remember who they are. So, I realized what I wanted to do, and a lot of people would start coaching with me and they would stay coaching and keep going and keep going. I have clients that I've had for 3 years because they are exhilarated. When you start to learn this information, it literally is so exciting, and you don't ever want to stop. You want to keep peeling back the layers and learning and learning and learning. And so my schedule was really, really full, and I wanted to create this program for 2 reasons. Number one, I didn't want just people that could afford one-on-one coaching to be able to have this information. Just people that had, thousands of dollars to coach. I didn't want to just reach the elite of people in that space. Because there was a time in my life that there's no way I would have had thousands of dollars for coaching, but I could buy, I had $99. And so for me, that's the first reason I created this program. And then second, I created this program so that I could have a support system for people that was ongoing, because this stuff it's like, you can't work out one time or for a month and then stop and expect to be healthy. This is stuff that you've got to hit reset and hit reset and hit reset and keep going and keep going and keep going for your life to be going in the right direction. And, a lot of people, another way to look at that is church. Like, people go to church so they can be reminded of what path they want to be on. I'm not saying I'm church, but it's a good analogy for what I wanted to create. So I created a coaching membership. It's $99 a month. It's starting December 20th. For anyone that signs up in December, they get lots of freebies that are included with it. They get a free gift, which is a surprise. It'll be sent to you, but it's awesome. And on top of that, different freebies included in the program. And then it's $99 from there on out. And it includes two calls a month, as well as a manifesting video. So every month I'm going to do a video, because over the last 10 years, I've learned so many things. And if I tried to dump all of that on you at one time, it would be overwhelming. This is why people go to Tony Robbins and they pay thousands to go to a week of Tony Robbins, and they come home and they stare at their life and go, I don't even know where to start. So I keep it simple. So every month you're going to get one video of me showing you a manifesting technique that entire month you're going to take that tool into your life and you're going to apply it. And you're going to focus on that. And then we're going to build from there. And you can cancel at any time, or you can stay on it however long you want. And it's created for me to walk the journey with you, to support you along the way. And so that one is $99 a month. I'll send you the link, Melissa. Should I do that? And then people can know how to sign up. But
send it to me and I'll post it in the team pages and stuff. That's great.
Okay, awesome. But sign up, because it's literally, and just try it, because it's literally gonna change a lot of lives. So I'm so excited about that program. To answer your question as far as my next seminar, I don't know. It's going to be in the spring, but my marketing team was like, okay, Jen, let's launch this first. Let's get this underway, and then we'll pick a date. And so the date will be sometime in the spring, sometime probably in April. So yeah. What other questions?
Awesome. So this is a really good question. They said, if you've never really visualized or manifested in your life before, where do you suggest you start? Mm-hmm. She said, I know what it is and I try to practice it, but maybe it's because I've never done it before that I'm a little more unsure of it. Where would you suggest someone who's starting at square one?
Okay. Who asked this question? I love it so much.
Her name is Nikki. Nikki can unmute herself. Maybe she might be with kiddos.
Nikki.
Hi.
Hi. I love that you asked this question. It's such a good question. So, do you know the two most powerful words in our vocabulary?
I am.
Oh my gosh. Good job. That is exactly right. I am. Oh, somebody wrote it. Megan, good job. So yes, I am. So we use those words every day, all day long, and our life is made up of our I ams. Okay. So I'll say, I'm not worthy, or I'm worthy. I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm broke. I'm wealthy. I'm experiencing huge amounts of money flowing into my life, right? So we use those words all the time. And those words actually mean, there's the literal translation to I am are God. That's what they translate to. If you were to Google, hey, what's the translation of I am? It would say God, or it would also say Om. So Om translates to I am, translates to God. The three are synonyms, okay? They all work together. I literally tattooed the Om symbol on my wrist to remind me, what am I creating? So behind those powerful words, what is it that I'm saying, right? I am. And so that's where I would start to answer your question. I have people come up with literally a list of, I'd say, what do you want in your life? And then, is it Nikel? Am I saying that right? Nikel. So I'd say, Nikel, what do you want? And you would write out a list of some things that you want, and you would formulate them into I am statements, and you'd start saying that every single day. So that's where I would start. Now, of course, there's many, many layers to this, and that's why really I encourage people. I'm telling you, it's the most important thing and life-changing thing in life is to learn about your power to create. And so step on that path and keep going and keep going and keep going. I will never know everything I need to. I'll never be at that space where I'm like, oh, I already know it all about our power to create. So I don't want to read anything. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to go to any seminars. Even though I know about our power to create and I feel like I'm really good at it because I feel like I've cracked the code and my life has changed so much. I will still always be reading a book. I will still always be listening to, podcasts and learning more about it, because the most important thing is stepping on the path and start going. But I would start with IMs, and you want to get to a point where you literally, it's like nails on a chalkboard before you're willing to put something behind those two powerful words that you don't want to come into fruition, because your word is your wand. So if I were to say I'm broke, it'd be like, ugh, that's so painful to hear. Okay. So I want you to get really intentional of what you're saying. So how often are you saying I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm sexy, I'm amazing, I'm in a wonderful marriage that honors me, I'm connected to my beautiful children, I'm full of joy. Okay. So I would start there and I would come up with a list, and then I would say them 3 times a day. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, honey. Good question. Okay, what else?
Question.
Yes.
I figured I'd just unmute myself.
Yes.
So you mentioned your childhood trauma and things that kind of kept you from reaching your full potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to get your opinion on, like, how do you help people uncover the obstacles that they're facing? Because, like, I look back at growing up and I didn't have trauma. Like, I feel like I had a good childhood, yet there's a lot of things that I want out of life, and I know I'm getting in my way.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you identify those things, or give us some tips to identify the obstacles that we might have that we just can't see?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and that's the thing, is some of our stories are tricky. Okay. I think the more obvious ones are the ones that cause a lot of pain. So for me, my first story to uncover was my marriage and what was going on there, because it was causing me so much pain. But then once I uncovered that, then it was like I could get to other things, right? But a lot of people feel like they haven't been through anything, and that's just not true. Nobody has gotten to gotten to adulthood without carrying around some mud. So Rebecca, to answer your question, when we come into the planet, we are whole, and we experience these different things in life, and it can be something super simple and seem harmless, such as a teacher making a comment to us, or a peer saying something mean, but it's something that it's like, ooh, that hurt, and I just took that on, and it's a lie about who Rebecca is. But since I don't understand it and I don't know how to process it and let it go, I'm going to eat it and I'm going to keep it. And so I'm going to stuff it. And so over time, so let's say, for example, you're on the playground and a bunch of girls are like, ooh, let's stay away from Rebecca because she's got cooties, and they start running away, and that's the game, right? And it hurts. So maybe it wasn't like what you would experience as trauma per se, but it hurt. And you took on this lie of like, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Other people are better than me. Right? And so you stuffed it, and before long you're lugging around some mud. The youngest client I've ever worked with is 11 years old. By 11, you got mud, because by teachers, peers, love interests, parents, siblings, they'll say these things and it creates emotion, and you don't know how to process it, so you stuff it. So how do you uncover the story? Whatever's showing up is your story. So for example, if it's a money block, if you're like, gosh, I just can't get past X amount of dollars, whatever's showing up is always your story, always. Okay. And so that's how you uncover your story, whatever is showing up in physical form. So one of my clients I was talking to today, she had the floodgates open up on men that were coming into her. She's a single lady, and she had these men coming into her space, and they're like saying like super like crappy things to her, like making advances at her where they're not wanting to honor her and treat her like a lady and like get to know her, but they want to just, they want one thing. Well, you got the floodgates opened up on that coming in. So it's something that I'm not saying it's, your fault. That's not the way you look at it. The way you look at it is people are reacting to my energy field. So for example, in my 20s, I had a boss who was very sexually, harassing. He was sexually harassing me. Okay. He was very disrespectful. He was married, but he would say these awful things to me. And that's what was going on in my 20s with this boss that I worked with. And I worked with him for over 2 years. He ended up getting fired. Right. Then in my 30s, at the end of my 30s, I had the owner of my company he was fired for sexual harassment, and all the girls were talking about all this stuff. And I was like, he never, ever treated me like that. He never said one disrespectful thing to me. Why? Because I had changed my energy so much that he wouldn't dare talk to me that way. One of my I ams is I am well respected by myself and others. And I say it every day, and I've said it for 7 years. And so I don't get blown off by my clients. My clients take their sessions serious. They're on time. I have a spouse who respects me. I have people that hold the door for me at the store. I don't get people that are road raging and flipping me off all the time. I'm in my own little world. And does it mean that sometimes I'm going to have an off day and something's going to happen? Yeah, that'll happen every once in a while. But I'm speaking from majority, like most of the time I am coming into contact with people that are showing me respect, because that's my story, is I'm respected. You see? Does that help? Rebecca? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, cool. What else?
This was a really good one. Megan, do you want to, can you unmute and ask it? Because that was a really awesome question. Okay, she can't, so I'll read it for her.
Okay.
How do we teach our kids not to absorb those things and keep it inside and swallow it when that happens to them?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I love this information for kids. In fact, I tell everyone to take the information when they're coaching with me, when they're, listening to a seminar, and share it with the people you love in your life. And your kids are really, really open. So for me, I do this game because you got to keep it really simple with children. Their IMs are their armor. So Megan, with kids, how do you have it bounce off them? Well, literally, I believe if kids have that strong foundation at home and the parents know who they are and they are building their confidence at home, then they have that armor to go out into the world when they're going to go out that door and they're going to get called a loser or, these awful things that kids say at school. They know who they are because they're having that foundation at home. Okay. So one thing, I have an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 22-year-old. And all of my kids say their I ams. And except my 19-year-old might not say them very often. But the rest of them, with my younger ones, I keep it really simple. I just hold my hand up and I say, give me 5 good I ams before they get out of the car, or in the morning when we're getting ready. Hey, give me 5 good I ams. And they'll say, I'm a leader, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm kind, I'm a gift to the world. Okay, cool. Go have a good day. Love ya. If I keep it really simple like that, they'll do it and they like it and it's fun and they like to see their hand, how many they have left, and then we're done. But having kids say these positive things to themselves and teaching them that is a good thing and supporting them in doing that is a very, very powerful thing. And I believe it's life-changing for kids. in everyone, because it's literally, can you imagine feeling comfortable to say, I am beautiful, as you were growing up, and to hold that space around you, feeling like, you know what, I'm beautiful, and I'm okay saying that. But so many parents think, oh, well, I don't want my kid to be stuck up or conceited. You know, a lot of those I ams that they will come up with on their own is they'll say, I'm a good friend, or I'm kind to others. And so mirroring and modeling that for your children, I believe the best thing we can do as mothers, do we have any men on this call? Maybe not. As mothers, is for our children to see, or our daughters to see, a confident woman who can say, I'm beautiful, and feel good about that, and being able to say that and not have shame about that. Or for our sons to be able to, for them to see their father say good things about himself, or even our sons to see their moms, it doesn't matter, male, female, for them to see their parents saying good things about themselves, and owning that, and feeling and emulating that self-love, and modeling that for them. It's the best gift we can give our children. Oh, that's right. So Melissa saw my daughter. My daughter was at the event, and my 8-year-old, and I had her stand up and show everybody how she says her I ams. And her last one, she said 4 I ams, and then she got to her last one, and I was like, oh dear, what's going to come out of this child's mouth? Because I never know. And she said, I am Beyonce. She's a turkey. Funny. Okay. What other questions do we have? These are good questions.
Yeah, I haven't seen any others come up, but if there's anyone who has a last question, you are free to ask, or we can end almost exactly on the dot at 8. But Jen, I really personally just wanted to say thank you, because I feel like all of these things, a lot of these tools, and like the IMs, like as much as we know it, kind of like what you said, like our culture, like the coaching culture that we are part of, is so big on self-development and inner growth and mindset development. I think the thing that we sometimes forget is, like, we read and do and listen to all the things, but we don't put them as much into action as we need to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we hear a lot of these things, and we have seen a lot of people come in to the space and talk about affirmations and manifestation, but having those actual tools, like, you know, I got this little booklet thing from you, and they're probably cheap on Amazon. I don't know. Yeah. But I love it because I just write all my affirmations in it. I take it with me. I put it in my purse, and now I'm saying them all the time, especially after our discussion today. But even writing more, and it also allows for me, like, when I think of something, to write it down and be like, ooh, I want that in my life. This is something I want to be. And having that right at our fingertips, like even putting it in our phones or whatever works for you. Yeah, just being the creators that we're made to be, you know?
Yeah. It really is all about consistency, and focusing on just one step at a time. Keep going. And so at the end of the day, you step on the path and you start moving, and you turn around and you realize your life has changed. So yes, you're right. And I have so many different tips and tricks, and some people are going to love some of them, and they're going to be like, oh, this is something I want to do every day. I get this. And then other things might not be their favorite thing. So it's just like starting to play with it and work with that power. So I love your sweatshirt too. Love yourself. That's so fitting.
Yeah, thanks.
Love yourself. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I remember I actually wrote this in my book, but you told us these are life-changing tools.
Mm-hmm.
And they really are. And I wrote down, this is a list of everything my heart desires. And I think that that's like the most important thing ever. A lot of times we get stuck in this, like, you know, business, like we have to grow our business, but really it's about growing ourselves. And then kind of like you said, stepping into, and I can't remember what you called them, like that third phase where of life, where you know, and you're standing in your power, you know where you are, and now you're giving that gift to others.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're all here for.
Yes, 100%. So what Melissa's talking about is at the event that I did, I believe every human is here to play a game, the game of life. And that is, the first phase is to come here and forget who we are. And then the second phase is to remember who we are. And the third phase is to turn around and step into your purpose and remind others the truth of who they are. And so, yeah, that's what it's about.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I will get the info and the link from you to share. I know there's a lot of people who've been messaging me and wanting that information. So I'll make sure I get that from you so I can share it in our team pages. And really just thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to spend it with us and to, you know, bless us with all this amazing information and knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been been an honor to be with all you goddesses. This is awesome. I love it.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Have an amazing night. And thanks everyone for getting on. If you want to stay on, let's get a quick pic and you guys can use it for your stories. If you're on and you want to turn on your video, you can turn that on. Okay. Oh, I see some people.
Oh, I want to do this. This is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
I see more people turning on video, so I'm gonna wait one more sec. Okay, so I've got like everyone on one page somehow. So if you want, just do a cute little smile. And I'll share that in the team page and I'll send it to you too, Jen, if you want to use it on your social media.
Thank you.
Or I'm sure you'll get tagged a lot though. So
I also saw that somebody asked about my social media. And so my name's Jen Suliafu, and I'm sure Melissa can tell you how to spell that, but I am on Insta and Facebook. So
yes. Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great night, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.